Hello, my name is Vu Huy Tinh.
Hello, my name is Sim Leong Len.
Hello, my name is Sonia Tei.
Everyone. Today we are going to discuss about element of contract, valid contract. There are 7 elements, which is offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relation, capacity, security, and free consent. But we will only discuss 5 elements. Contract defines as a legally binding agreement between two parties. Generally, in Malaysia, the law of contract is regulated by the Contract Act 1950. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Wu Huiting as monetary, and my partner 1 is Sim Leong Lian, and my partner 2 is Sonia Tae. Miss Sin, can you explain first element of valid contract?
First element of valid contract is offer. Section 2 of the Contract Act 1950, when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to the act of abstaining, he is said to make a proposal. How an offer could be made. Under Section 9, first offer could be made by express in writing or verbally. Second is implied. Implied from the conduct of the parties involved. Type of offer. Number 1 is specific offer. Specific offer, only the addressers may accept the offer. Second is general offer. It addresses to anyone who may satisfy all the terms or conditions of the offer stipulated by the offerer. Under cases Carlier versus Carbolic Smoke Bomb, essential element of an offer. Number 1 is condition of an offer. It must be clear, complete, final, and details to avoid any obscurity or doubt. If it is not clear, it is not to be regarded as a valid offer. Number 2, communication of offer. An offer or proposal needs to be communicated to the promise, otherwise the offer is not valid. Under Section 4, Bankrate 1, the communication of a proposal is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made. So the offer is communicated to the promise at the time when he or she comes to know about it. Number 3 is offer distinguishes from invitation to treat. Invitation to treat is a sort of preliminary communication which passes between the parties at the stage of negotiation that might lead to an offer. It is merely an invitation from one party to another party to make an offer. It is an early stage before an offer could be made.
Second, the element of valid contract is acceptance. This means that the acceptor to whom the offer is made agree of accept the offer made by the offerer. Once there is an acceptance, an agreement between the parties is created. A contract exists and it is binding upon the parties. Condition of an acceptance. The acceptance made by the offerer and or acceptor must be satisfied certain conditions. If the conditions are not met or fulfilled, such acceptance would not be valid and thus the contract is not binding or valid. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. The acceptance must be made exactly on the same terms as offer, without any modification under Section 7A. Second, acceptance must be communicated in some usual and reasonable manner. First, communication of acceptance. Under Section 7B, acceptance must be expressed in some usual and reasonable unless the proposal prescribes the manner in which it is to be accepted. The general rule is that the acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. Second, silence is not an acceptance. The offerer may not put the condition in his offer that the silence of the offerer without giving any positive acceptance amount to and amounted to an acceptance must be communicated to the offerer. Under Section 2B and Section 4.2, revocation of offer and acceptance. First, communication of notice of revocation by the proposal to the party to whom the proposal was made. Second, the time prescribed in the proposal for its acceptance elapses, or if not, time is prescribed for acceptance by the lapse of reasonable time. Third, the failure of the acceptor to fulfill an condition preceded to an acceptance. Fourth, the death or mental disorder of the proposer if the fact of the proposer, death or mental disorder come to the knowledge and acceptor before acceptance.
Third element of valid contract is capacity. First, requirement as to capacity. In order to form a valid and binding contract, the contracting parties must have the capacity to enter into a contract. Every person is free to enter into a contract so long as he is competent and having the capacity to contract. Refer to Section 10, Bankrupt 1. Second, limitation to contractual capacity. There are certain limitations upon to the capacity of person to enter into a contract. Refer Section 11. By virtue of the sections, the following persons are not competent to enter into a contract: A. Minor. B. Insane or drunken person. C. Is bankrupt. Third, minor. Age of Majority Act 1971 provides that a person attains the age of majority at 18 years old. Therefore, a person who is under the age of 18 is considered as a minor. Effect of a contract by minor. The general rule is, by virtue of Section 10, Bankrupt 1, and Section 11, a contract by minor is invalid or void because minor are not competent to contract. This means that a minor cannot be made liable upon the contract. The contract cannot be enforced against the minor. The other party of the contract cannot sue the minor for breach of contract. Exception. The general rule is that all contracts entered into by minor are void. The minors can sue or be sued under contract, which under the following exception: A. Contract for necessaries. B. Beneficial contract. C. Contract for scholarship. D. Contract for insurance. And contract made under the Age of Majority Act 1971. A. Contract of necessaries. A minor is brought to a contract if the contract is for his necessary. Necessaries includes goods or service reasonably necessary to minors' actual requirement. In section 98, A. Contract for necessary. A minor is bound to a contract if the contract is for his necessaries. Necessaries include goods or service reasonably necessary to the minor's actual requirement. In section 69, claim for necessaries applied to person incapable of contracting or on his account. D. Contract for scholarship. Contract Amendment Act 1976 has special provision for scholarship agreement. Under this act, any scholarship agreement is binding on the minor. C. Contract for insurance. Under the Insurance Act 1963, a minor over the age of 10 may enter into a contract of insurance. However, if the minor is under the age of 16, a writing consent of the parents or guardians is essential. D. Contract made under the Age of Majority Act 1971. Section 4 bracket A of this act provides that nothing in this act shall affect the capacity of any person to act in the following matters, namely marriage, divorce, divorce, and adoption. Contract by insane or drunken person. The basic of incapacity is that the person is unable to understand what he is doing. He is unable to form a rational judgment as to its effects upon his interests. Refer illustration A and B of section 12. Effect of the contract. Contract made by insane or drunken person are void. This is because section 10 bracket 1 and section 11, which are applicable to this situation, rather contracts made by incompetent person are void. Contract by corporations. There are two types of contract corporations: A. Statutory corporations and B. Registered corporations.
For consideration, refer to section 2b. Consideration is something that which has a value in the eyes of law and it becomes the basis of the contract. It is a price which is paid by one party in return to a promise or act done by another party. They have three categories of consideration: A. Executory consideration. B. Escort consideration. C. Past consideration. First, executory consideration. It is when one promise is made in return for another promise. Thus, mutual promises in return to a promise constitute a valid contract. Refer illustration A to section 24. B. Exclude consideration. Contract arises upon exclude consideration. A consideration is excluded when an act performed in return to a promise. Refer Collier versus Carbonic small ball for illustration. C. Past consideration. Past consideration is the consideration which has done or complete before the promise is made. Third, necessity of consideration. Refer to section 26. Any contract without consideration is invalid and unenforceable. No party can be bound to such contract. A. Contract made on account of natural love and affection under section 26A. This type of contract is valid and binding even though without consideration. This type of contract is valid and binding even though without consideration. Refer illustration B to section 26. According to section 26 blanket A, the natural love and affection is a valid consideration provided that the element of near relation between parties exists. B. Contract to compensate a past voluntary act under section 26B. There are two conditions to this exception. First, it is a promise to compensate the promise wholly or in part. Second, the promise is voluntary, done something for the promises. The word voluntary is not defined in the Contract Act, but it has been interpreted in the case of J.M. Waterspoon and Co. Limited versus Henry Agency House. C. Contract to compensate for an act which the promisor was legally compellable to do. Under section 26B, there are three conditions to this exception. First, there is an agreement to compensate the promise wholly or in part for an act. Second, the promiser has done the act voluntarily. Third, the act done is one which the promiser was legally compellable to do. Refer illustration D to section 26. D. Contract to pay a statute buried debt, section 26. A statute buried debt refer to a debt which cannot be recovered through legal action because of less of time fixed by law. Refer illustration E to section 26. 4. Condition for consideration. A. Adequacy of consideration. If the promiser gets whatever he asks for in return to his promise, he is said to have received sufficient or adequate consideration and is therefore bound to the act. Before I refer explanation 2 to section 26 and also refer to illustration F to section 26. B. Consideration need not come from the promiser. A party to an agreement can enforce a contract even though he has given no consideration so long as someone else has done so. refer section 2D, so consideration can move from the promise or any other person. C. Waiver of performance. General principle under English law of contract, a waiver of a right that not supported by consideration is void.
The last element is intention to create legal relation. To determine whether intention exists or not, law divides agreements into two classes: commercial or business agreements. Second, social, domestic, and family agreements. First, commercial agreements. For commercial agreements, the law presumes that intention exists between the parties to have legal relation. The contract is binding on the parties. For example, using a clause subject to contract in the agreement, the effect of this clause is then the oral or informal agreement is not binding until the execution of a full and final agreement. Second, social, domestic, and family agreements. For these agreements, the law presumes that there is no intention to create legal relation. The contract is not binding on the parties. By vs. by fraud. Thank you for our two guys today, and thank you for watching.